Do you know how to read and view closely? Today, you will learn how to pinpoint the main idea, details, similarities, and differences in a passage. You will also learn to identify the concept of cause and effect to make inferences about what happened in a story. So, what does it mean to compare and contrast? Here we have a Venn diagram, and this is what we use when we compare things and contrast them. Compare means similar or the same, and contrast means different or not the same. Now let's look at an example. How can we compare the cat and the dog? Well, we could say both the dog and the cat have tails. Both the dog and the cat are animals, and they are both adorable animals. How could you contrast them? Well, you can say the dog has a short tail, but the cat has a long tail. The cat has whiskers, the dog does not. The dog is bigger, but the cat is smaller. Now it's your turn. Can you compare the apple and the chips? Maybe you said both the apple and the chips are foods. Now contrast the two. You could say the apple is a fruit, but chips are a snack. Now I want you to try this with cars and buses. Think about the similarities and differences. We're going to read a short passage now and then look at the similarities and differences. Cars and buses are two different types of transportation available in your city or town. It is true that both cars and buses are able to get you from one place to another, but there are some differences too. For example, cars are owned and driven by individuals and families, but buses are usually owned and operated by the city. Both cars and buses have 4 wheels and an engine, but buses are much larger than cars and are made to carry or transport a lot of people at the same time. Some people prefer to drive in a car instead of a bus because a car does not have to make as many stops as a bus. Others prefer taking the bus instead of driving a car because they don't have to worry about watching the other cars on the road. They can look out the window, read a book, or send a text messages to friends. Either way, both cars and buses are a great way to get around in your city or town. Now we have our compare and contrast charts ready to go. So first, we're going to pull out those comparisons. Here you see that both a car and a bus are great modes of transportation. They both have seats which allow you to sit while traveling, and both have 4 wheels and an engine. Then we have contrasting thoughts. An individual family can own a car, but buses are usually owned by the city. Buses are larger, so they can carry more people than cars. However, it means they need to take more stops. And finally, when taking a bus, you don't have to worry about other cars on the road. You could read, text, and look out the window. When you're the driver of a car, you cannot do that. All right, now we're going to look at cause and effect. Identify what is happening here. The cause is that the water is on the floor, and the effect is that she slipped. How could we write a statement? Well, we could say the girl slipped because there was water on the floor. Or we could say because there was water on the floor, the girl slipped. Now I want you to identify what is happening in this picture. what is the cause, and what is the effect? The cause is that the wind is blowing. The effect is her hat blew off. Now try to write a statement sentence about the picture. An example of this could be, the hat blew off her head because it was windy, or the wind was blowing. Or you could write, because it was windy, the hat blew off her head. Now identify what's happening in this picture. What's the cause? What's the effect? Here are some sentence starters or sentence stems to help you write your sentence. Next, what is happening in this picture? What's the cause? What's the effect? And here are some sentence stems to help you with that. Next, let's talk about problem versus solution. I'm going to read a short narrative. Listen to my think aloud and speaking process of identifying the problem and the solution. Marco wanted to ride his bike. He went outside to get on his bike. But when he got outside and looked at the bike, he saw that he had a flat tire. Marco could not ride his bike with a flat tire. So I think that the problem of the story is that Marco had a flat tire, and I'm going to keep reading to find out the solution. Marco remembered that he had a bike pump in the garage, so he went to find it. When Marco found the bike pump, he attached it to his tire and filled it up. Now his bike was ready to go. I think that the solution is that he pumped up the tire with his bike pump. Now it's your turn to identify the problem and solution in the next few passages. Jessica was in the middle of taking a math test, and suddenly her pencil broke. She was not allowed to get up out of her seat during the test, so she thought about what to do. So now I want you to identify the problem. The problem was that she needed a pencil and could not get up to get one. After thinking for a moment, Jessica remembered that she had an extra pencil in her backpack. She reached into her backpack and took out a new pencil. Now, what was the solution? The solution was that she was prepared and had an extra pencil nearby in her backpack. Let's look at another scenario. Brian sat down at the table with his friends to eat lunch. When he opened his backpack, he discovered that the lunch he brought from home was not there. What's the problem? That's right, his lunch was missing from his backpack. Since Brian did not have his lunch, he asked a friend if he could borrow some money to buy a lunch from the cafeteria. What's the solution? Brian can buy a lunch with the borrowed money from a friend. Great job. Now we're going to move into expressing inferences. Inferences are educated guesses. It is knowing what we already know about something together with new information. So take what you already know and we're adding on to it. I'm going to model the process of expressing and making inferences now. So looking at this picture, I am going to start with what I already know. I know that a water balloon is filled with water. I also know that when it hits something, it explodes. Next, I'm going to look for new information. When I look at the picture, I could see that the water balloon is hitting the boy in the face. The other girl and boy are also about to get hit too. Now, I will make my inference. I can infer that the water balloons are going to hit and explode on all the children. So here you see some sentence stems that you can use when it's your turn. These are great sentence stems to use when making inferences in your classes. I learned that, I can infer, I infer, I know that, and I can see that. Here's some more examples. I know that she is working on her computer. I can see that she is sleepy. I can infer that she has studied and worked hard for a long time. I know that he is excited to eat this burger. I can see that he looks happy because he is smiling. And I can infer that he has waited for this burger and is ready to enjoy it. And our final example, I know that she is very surprised by the time. I can see that she looks worried. I can infer that she has somewhere to be and needs to get on her way quickly. Now it's your turn. Please write an inference for the picture. Here's some sentence starters. Awesome. So you could say, I can infer that this man is going to eat a hot chili pepper and he is going to need some liquid like water or milk to wash it down. For this one, we could say, I can see that the kids look bored in class. Maybe you also infer that they are not getting much learning done here. And in our final example, make an inference. Maybe you could say, I can infer that this cat sleeps a lot. She looks very cozy and comfortable on her spot on the couch. Next, it's time to draw conclusions. When we make or draw conclusions, we have to look at pictures and word clues. We have to make an inference or inferences. And remember, that means educated guess, and we also have to gather the facts. So let's use a think aloud speaking process to draw conclusions. I'm going to start by looking at the pictures and words. So here we see a recipe for chocolate chips. We see a woman that's sprinkling flour out of her hand, and we see all her cooking supplies. I see a kitchen with cooking ingredients like sugar, milk, chocolate chips. I also see a bowl and spoons and a paper with directions on it. Now I'm going to make my inference. I infer that she is making some kind of dessert because there's sugar and chocolate chips. Finally, I will gather all the facts. I know she is making something sweet and she's reading a recipe. There are ingredients that are used to make a dessert. My conclusion is that the mother or lady is making cookies. Next, here is a photo of a little boy, and we're going to read the passage. Daniel was so excited to see so many fish in one place. He looked at the giant tanks. There were hundreds of colorful fish, crabs, plants, and other amazing ocean creatures around him. He was able to explore an ocean world without getting wet. What kinds of sentence stems can we use to write about this picture? Maybe you could say, I know that it's fun to explore the aquarium, and Daniel had a great time, and he didn't even need to get wet. Angela and Ella could hear their mom honking the car horn loudly and yelling their names. They both ran down the stairs as quickly as they could while throwing on their t-shirts and jackets. What could we say for this? Maybe you could say, I know that they were excited to see their mom because they were running down the stairs in a hurry. How about for this passage? Jen loved to hike early in the morning. She climbed slowly up the hill and started to walk into a patch of tall grass. She stopped suddenly when she saw something moving in the grass. Then she heard a loud hissing, followed by a rattling sound. She dared not to take another step. My conclusion is that Jen ran into a rattlesnake on her walk. Because hissing and rattling is associated with a rattlesnake. She should be careful. Well, that concludes our lesson today. We discussed main idea, details, similarities, and differences in various passages. We also learned how to identify the concepts of cause and effect to make inferences about what happened in various stories. Don't forget to continue to practice these vocabulary words that we have learned and continue to practice this as you read in your different classes. Don't forget to come back for more learning soon, and like and subscribe to our channel ESL Class for You.